For a year now, we've been reporting on questionable spending by a South suburban politician named Tiffany Henyard. But we only knew half the story.
A legal appointment, that's what the trustees I talked to are calling this. They say the news took them by surprise. And now they're talking to legal counsel to figure out their next steps.
Have you ever heard of a politician so notorious that even her own supporters turn against her? Well, meet Tiffany Henyard, the mayor of Dolton, Illinois, whose minority, famous for corruption, lavish spending, and shady dealings. Some even say she's the most corrupt politician in America. Imagine that. Not exactly the title anyone wants, right? But with the kind of scandalous behavior Henyard's been accused of, it's no wonder she's grabbing headlines everywhere.
Hey guys, this is Super Mayor Tiffany Henyard, the people's mayor and people's supervisor.
So what's really going on in Dolton? Buckle up, because we're about to dive deep into the whirlwind that is Tiffany Henyard's political career, her outrageous spending habits, and how her empire might just be crumbling under the weight of investigations, betrayal, and some pretty angry residents. Let's start with the basics. Tiffany Henyard came into office in 2021, and for a minute, it looked like she was on her way to becoming a local hero. But it didn't take long before rumors started swirling about her behavior behind closed doors. The accusations. Everything from misusing taxpayer money for personal luxuries to handing out massive raises to police officers for, get this, overtime that didn't even make sense. Oh, and did I mention the multi-million-dollar deficit her town's now facing? Yep, it's a mess, and it's all happening right under her watch.
We needed those officers to be on the street fighting crime. And instead, we have several officers that are riding around protecting the mayor.
One of the wildest things about Henyard's story is how it seems like every few weeks, a new scandal emerges. Take her infamous proposal, for example, where she suggested slashing the salary for any future mayor, but only if she loses re-election. It's like she's setting up a backup plan for herself, as if she knows the writing's on the wall. And this isn't even the half of it. Let's talk about her spending habits for a second. Henyard is known for living large, and by large, I mean charging tens of thousands of dollars in taxpayer money for extravagant trips, first-class flights, and fancy hotel stays.
The township residents are paying for her fund.
Some reports even say she blew through tens of thousands in just 5 months, with expenses that included stays at places like the Four Seasons in Atlanta and the Marriott Marquis in Times Square. And what did Dolton residents get out of these official trips? Absolutely nothing. According to town trustee Chris Gonzalez, he's been trying to get answers about these trips for months, but Henyard and her crew have stayed tight-lipped. It's almost like she thinks she's above answering to anyone.
Is there a motion to terminate Keith Freeman?
And if you think that's bad, wait until you hear about the police department under Henyard's rule. Remember when I mentioned those sketchy overtime payments? Well, it turns out that some officers in Dolton were raking in more in overtime than their regular salaries. One officer reportedly made over $100,000 in overtime alone, more than doubling his base salary.
One way that the government always does it is to go and investigate people around her, and that's what they're doing here.
And here's where things get even juicier. It seems Henyard has been playing favorites, especially with her top ally, Deputy Police Chief Louis Lacey. Lacey, who's been a loyal Henyard supporter, isn't exactly squeaky clean either. In fact, he's been indicted on charges of bankruptcy fraud.
Mr. Lacey is absolutely not guilty of all 9 counts. I believe he's cooperating. And if you cooperate, you have to admit your guilt first.
But that didn't stop Henyard from reappointing him to his position after the board voted to fire him. This move sparked a whole new level of outrage in Dolton, with residents and board members alike questioning how Henyard can just ignore legal decisions like that. And Lacey, he's walking around like nothing's happened, reportedly still showing up to work as if he's in charge. Talk about a power play. Now, here's where things start getting really interesting. With so much public outrage and scandal, you'd think Henyard would lay low for a while, right? Nope. Instead, she's doubling down, presenting herself as the victim in all of this. According to her, she's being unfairly targeted because of her race and political stance.
But it saddens my heart that you are up here at this special meeting and not downstairs where we have big bingo.
She's gone so far as to deliver speeches where she calls for unity and claims that she's being persecuted by those who want to tear her down. It's a classic move, play the victim to divert attention from the accusations. But the real kicker is that these speeches are coming at a time when she's under investigation by none other than former Chicago Mayor Lori Lightfoot. That's right, Henyard's shady spending caught the attention of Lori Lightfoot, who was hired by Dolton's board to investigate the town's finances. Talk about irony. Lightfoot's preliminary findings revealed that since Henyard took office, Dolton's financial situation has gone from bad to worse. We're talking millions in debt, unreported spending, and credit card purchases that seem completely unrelated to anything official.
Who would make a one-day purchase of over $40,000 to Amazon? And the main thing is, what is it?
One of the most shocking revelations, on just one day, $40,000 was charged to Amazon. and no one knows where that money went. Let's just say that doesn't look too good. But as all this is happening, Henyard is still trying to keep up appearances. She's been calling herself the super mayor and even had the nerve to brag about the productivity of her taxpayer-funded events, like that $85,000 party she threw, which turned out to be a complete flop.
Fox 32 has investigated Henyard's use of a police security detail, taking officers off the street and costing thousands of dollars.
She flew in R&B singer Keek Wyatt and rapper Jay Holiday, but hardly anyone showed up. Can you imagine spending that much money on a party that nobody attended? It's almost too ridiculous to believe. But it's just another example of how out of touch Henyard seems to be with the people she's supposed to be serving. And speaking of the people, they are not happy. Public meetings in Dolton have become downright chaotic, with residents openly calling for Henyard's resignation. People are tired of seeing their money wasted while their town's services suffer. One resident even shouted during a meeting, "You've done nothing. You don't care about nobody but yourself." It's clear that the tide is turning against her.
I think you should pay everybody. Is it a reason why you guys are not paying whatever that vendor is?
What was it for?
It was for shirts. That's what it's for. You do that.
But perhaps the most surprising part of this whole saga is how quickly Henyard's own supporters are turning on her. Take Carmen Carlisle, for example. She used to be one of Henyard's closest allies, but now she's one of her biggest critics. Carlisle recently came forward, accusing Henyard of manipulating employees, vendors, and even residents to maintain her influence. In a public statement, Carlisle didn't hold back, calling Henyard's leadership unethical and predatory. And this wasn't just some behind-the-scenes accusation. Carlisle said it in a packed board meeting in front of Henyard herself. The betrayal doesn't get much more public than that.
Deep debt, and that is the finding of an investigation of village finances and the spending habits of beleaguered Mayor Tiffany Henyard.
Carlisle isn't the only one speaking out, though. Trustees have been pushing for new ordinances to limit Henyard's power, and they're getting serious about investigating her. There's even talk of legal action, which could spell real trouble for Henyard. And while she's busy trying to veto every move the board makes, they're pushing back harder than ever, determined to get to the bottom of the financial mess she's left behind. As if things couldn't get worse, rumors have been swirling about secret meetings between Henyard and certain business owners in the town. Allegedly, she's been offering these select individuals special treatment, such as faster permit approvals and relaxed regulations, in exchange for financial support for her re-election campaign. While there's no hard evidence yet, people in Dolton are starting to ask questions. These whispers have only fueled the community's distrust, adding to the belief that Henyard is more interested in securing her own political future than serving the people. And then there's the matter of her personal spending. Sources close to the situation claim that Henyard has been using taxpayer money, not just for her extravagant trips, but also for personal shopping sprees. Items ranging from designer clothing to luxury furniture are reportedly part of the questionable purchases that investigators are digging into. If these claims turn out to be true, Henyard could face even more serious legal trouble, potentially even embezzlement charges. It's no surprise that the calls for her resignation are growing louder with each passing day.
Or the administration can adhere to some financial limits. We're not looking to necessarily...
But here's the thing, it's not just the political betrayal that's turning the tide against Henyard. It's the residents of Dolton too. They've had enough. For months, they've been watching as their mayor spends more time promoting herself than actually fixing the issues facing their community. And now that more and more details are coming out about the town's financial situation, people are starting to demand answers. They want to know why their mayor is living large while the town is drowning in debt. And let's not forget about the public reaction to Henyard's sudden loss of her personal security detail. After her spending was frozen, her once massive police entourage was gone. One commenter online didn't hold back, saying, "Hilarious that Henyard no longer has a personal security team anymore." Funds for that were frozen also, as were all her credit cards. It's like the house of cards is starting to collapse and people are noticing. Another fan comment put it even more bluntly. Does she even watch her videos being shown? She's so corrupt, it's normal for her. Doesn't know right from wrong. A 6th grader would do a better job as mayor. So ignorant. And that's the kind of frustration people are feeling in Dolton right now. And it's no wonder that residents are calling for her to step down. As the investigations into Henyard's financial mismanagement continue, the pressure is only mounting. With the involvement of the FBI, Lightfoot's ongoing probe, and public officials demanding more transparency, it's hard to see how Henyard can hold on to her position for much longer. And yet, she's still fighting back, refusing to cooperate with investigators and insisting that she's the victim of a political smear campaign. So, what's next for Tiffany Henyard? It's anyone's guess at this point. Will the investigations lead to criminal charges? Will the board finally be able to rein her in with new ordinances? Or will she somehow manage to hang on to her power despite everything that's happened? One thing's for sure, the drama in Dolton isn't over yet. And here's a question for you. Do you think Henyard will finally be forced out, or will she continue to fight against the growing opposition? Could her claims of political persecution have any merit, or is this just another tactic to avoid accountability? Let us know what you think in the comments below, and as always, stay tuned for more updates on this wild ride. Thanks for watching, and until next time, keep your eyes on the headlines, because you never know when the next big scandal is going to break.